2:45, I'm going to call the regularly scheduled BOCES meeting to order. First item is the approval of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, item 2, approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for August 16th.
Second.
Seconded to approve the BOCES from August 16th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, item 3, treasurer's report.
I've got it in front of me. Does anybody have a paper copy of that? Sorry, I was looking for, thank you though. So balance forward from July 31st was $189,612.49. We brought in revenue of $1,662.32. August bills amounted to $1,339.18, and payroll was $3,888.68, leaving a final balance of $185,996.95. That revenue that we brought in was interest income and Carbon County Treasurer tax funds. And as of August 31st, within our checking account, we've got $32,439.89. Our money market WyoStar account at a rate of 0.1889 is $153,557.06, equaling $185,996.95. Yes, and so then for September, that $185,000 or $185,096.95. We brought in $1,178 and reimbursed expenses of $70. September bills were $4,604.23. Payroll was $3,348.07. Leaving the funds for the month of September at $179,265.43. Once again, the revenue brought in was that tax from the Carbon County Treasurer and interest income, as well as money from Kids Camp. And we had our checking account balance was $25,660.37. Money market WyoStar account was $153,605.06. Leaving $179,265.43 to carry forward for October.
All right, item 4, consideration of bills. Did you guys have a chance to review the bills? And if so, do you have any questions? I have a couple of questions. Doug, on that ACT registration, for the month, which month
There's meeting in August or September.
is that what we typically get funded by Sinclair for?
Yes, and we will be reimbursed.
Okay, that was the question. And then can you
And there's
just,
snacks involved too that come in through that, and so that's reimbursed as well.
oh, wow, that's great. Okay, so that's just monies that we put out for now because
The grant has it.
and what about the Dolly Parton Library? Can you explain that?
Okay, so because of COVID, our local area in Denver that does mail distribution and does, in order to do Dolly Parton, you have to do the media mail, like the mass stamp, and you have to apply for that. I applied for that when we originally got that, and then I applied for it 2 more times, and it never went through. And so I ended up applying for it actually instead of going to Denver, taking it to Tennessee to apply for it. And Sinclair asked that we give that money back because it took a year to get that post office box, mass media mail, so that they could send those books out. So we went ahead and reimbursed them for that grant.
So that project is essentially not moving forward. is what
Correct.
you're saying.
Yep.
So we've gotten money and then we
Refunded it.
first.
Yep.
Because we couldn't get those. All right, so is there a motion to approve? Yes.
Madam Chairman, I motion that we pay the September bills of the September 2021 BOCES fund of $4,604.23. The October 2021 BOCES fund of $12,587.98. Total grand total approved bills of $17,192.21.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the bills for a total of $17,192.21. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 5, reports.
So for the month of August, we were pretty busy finishing up art camp here in Hannah for the smaller kids, which was pretty exciting. And we also did swim lessons here at the rec center, which ended up being a ton of fun, and we had a decent turnout for that as well. We kicked off in August the canning classes, and that was a 5-week session, and we finished that up in September, so that continued in through September. We did salsa making, typical pickles like fermented pickles and normal rind canned pickles. We did sweet jams and savory jams. And so that all worked really, really well. We had a sewing class planned. However, Eva Robertson's husband passed away, so that's on hold. She would still like to do it, but it will be in the future sometime, unless we find another instructor. Moving forward, August was pretty successful. And we got kindergarten readiness planned for Saratoga, and we plan to kick the first one off in September for that, and that went well. And then we will continue kindergarten readiness planning for the rest of the district for the following month. For September, we ended up getting all of the kindergarten readiness planned for encampment, and we did the first class for Saratoga. It's nice this year because it's all back physically in person for both locations. So people are excited, and encampment's more inclined to participate because it's in person instead of online this go around. So I'm excited as of right now for encampment. We have 11 families signed up, so that'll be good. So we're back up to normal numbers like we were 2 years ago. Doing planning for art classes occurred in September, and we're also we were looking at doing some continued swim lessons on Fridays, and we're getting that hammered out. We're going to continue the canning classes and finish water bathing and do the planning for pressure canning because that has been asked to be done again, as well as get, I'm working on getting a meat cutter in, like a butcher, to do that for us, as well as we did meat classes last year, sausage making classes, both game and pork, essentially, for sausage. I'm trying to acquisition the game this year. I haven't been successful yet, but we will definitely probably be doing a pork sausage making class with this again, maybe not the game side. We're working on fall activities, and I went ahead and finally was able to do dual enrollment training. Got that scheduled, and then it was canceled, and then we got that accomplished finally last week. So not in the month of September, but in October. It's done now, which is good. We will kick off kindergarten readiness planning for the northern part of the district in October, so it can kick off in January. And that's pretty much about it for September and August.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions for Brad? I did have a couple of just questions on the planning class, or the canning classes. How many participants do you usually have?
It depends on the actual class, like the jams and sweet class, or the the Savory Jam and the sweet classes are always really, really popular. And we had 6 people for those. And then we had 2 people, 2 sets of people sign up for the whole entire set of classes, which was nice. This year, the fermenting class wasn't that popular, but the people who took it preferred those pickles over like the water bath ones, which I thought was kind of cool. So not what I was expecting, but we tried some different fermenting recipes there. But like last year, and maybe that was due to COVID and people wanted to get out, we had 10 people customarily in every class, so I didn't think 6 was too bad as well.
And then you had also emailed us about the WWCC meet and greet. How did that turn out?
It was pretty much a bust, actually. People were signed up and then just didn't show up. Joe showed up, which was great. We had a couple other staff members show up, which actually brought some good pointers, I thought, to the table, which was really nice. And hopefully we'll be able to follow up with some other trainings and whatnot, either provided by WCC or just through general curriculum PD.
All right, well, those were questions. So item number 6 is unfinished business. We do not have any. So we'll move on to item number 7, which is new business. And this was something that I had asked Rec to put on here. And this was just to discuss the dual enrollment. And I know we went through a lot of changes here recently, but I just, I had heard a couple of things just about that process not being very smooth and some hiccups along the way. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit and see, what we have maybe put in place for next semester.
So essentially, registration kicks off. Early registration is November 10th. We are working on getting a list of situations together of what counselors are responsible of doing, what students are responsible of doing, and what I'm responsible of doing, so everybody's under the same page. There will be hopefully a required training for the counselors so that they are on the same page, because the process that they currently know is no longer the process because of all the changes that have happened at Western Wyoming, and they have gone more online for dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment than paper like it used to be. And so everybody needs to be trained concerning that. And now that I'm officially trained by Western Wyoming and have access to all of the programs and or files that I should have access to, we can get that going.
And I should have prefaced it with this, just a couple of things. There were just problems with logins and kids getting their books prior to like the classes. And so I just wanted to make sure, as things change, that we just have something in place so that we can just make sure that the kids are successful as they, into the next semester, do or give you whatever resources you need to be successful. So do you feel like you have what you need?
I have what I need for Western, yeah.
Okay, great. Do you guys have any questions for Brad regarding that, or have you heard anything?
Is it something widely that, like, I know in Shoshone, my nephews are all, I mean, from the time they're able, they are in even like psychology or something like that, just for those credit type thing. Is it something that is necessarily really broadcast to the
It
students?
is not at all. And that it is one of those things that should be more upfront via the counselors. And one of the things that I have found out since taking this position, each school was implementing a completely different set of rules when it came to dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment. And that is mandated by the state college commission. It's not something we can mandate. And that's associated with GPA, age of kid, that type of thing, what grade they are in school. And we can't make up our own rules concerning that because that is in state legislation. And so that was half the reason we did that whole revamp of our handbook, so that it is a legal document now for the BOCES board. And so one of the things is it's not well advertised. And I don't know, we talked about it, I think maybe the last meeting we had. We did a mass mailer postcard to every PO box in our district through Western Wyoming. And that actually ended up with a lot of other like last minute people who wanted to enroll, which I thought was pretty sweet. And we're going to do another mass mailer before November 10th so that people are aware of it. Because I think this is a program that needs be utilized a lot more, because essentially kids can have 4 classes paid for, which is 4 of the 4 classes.
So for total over the years or for? Right.
It's technically for
total time.
That, you know, that, excuse me if I may, that's like a comment about this whole thing. I had talked to Brett at one point here a while back, and she said, well, the training's been canceled a few times because I heard probably some of the same comments that you made. And the big issue, and I'm talking about Casey and Ward, I think too.
she's outreach, and then there's Alex Nelson.
And she basically confirmed all of this. They've changed platforms, the whole system has changed. That's this whole semester. And training was delayed, basically just what Greg said. And when Greg and I talked a while back, when she was first telling me that some of these trainings had been delayed, we had talked at that time, that once the training was done and she had received all of this, whatever she was receiving from Western Norway, that we could pull the counselors in and have some kind of meeting where everybody understood the role, so it would be smooth. So in the past, I think, and Greg can correct me, because she's the one that was, because I've not been that involved, but I think in the past they just turned in a list of names to one course, and it was all just done. So the counselors were not used to really doing it. So it's a change. A change takes a few times to get wrinkles out, but we have talked to Brett. Today, set up a meeting with the counselors. I'm sure everybody at least understands what their roles are. And Brett told me this, and I may speak this year, Brett, that the kids now log in and register themselves. So we're going to have to come up with a process where the counselors call them in and say that's all register, unless you can't just tell the kids to register and expect it's not going to be. It's a long way. So I think it's just partly getting used to the new system and that Greg has worked on to kind of pull all that together. I know when I came, there was a handbook way back when Melissa Dono was involved. I don't know if some of you remember her. It has been revised. So that whole thing has been an evolving thing. So hopefully now it's going to be more consistent. We're going to have it all down there in one place. And that, but anyway, that was just my comments. That really the BOCES, they're probably the most intertwined school and our students are the BOCES right now. Because the school credit change with other activities, of course, the Greg's thinking about doing. But we do have a plan, and we'll get some next down and meet with the counselors to make sure. Well, when I say counselors, it's actually Kevin. So it's the trade. So that's just kind of my background.
That's great. Moving forward, it's just something I think that's so critical, just because it affects the students, and we just want to set them up for success. So just wanted to figure out what was going on.
So my understanding is that the complaints were just because of this change of procedure. I think there was some panic that might not have been totally justified, because some of these courses actually start a couple of weeks after our courses. So when we were panicking about not having the books, we actually did have books by the time the course started.
Except for the late
editions. The late registration. So we'll get it together, and everybody will maybe understand how the new process is going to work. But it's very different from Western Wyoming's end. It's very different than what they had to do. So look at it.
It sounds like it had the training and everything.
Yeah. I'm just glad they got the training going, because that was very late. It did not help.
When you get together with the counselors, are you gonna have a way for that? Maybe something that, is there something like students get that they can know what they can take, or what is that?
There's approved courses for each school actually, which instead of just district-wide, because each school does something completely different. It's, like I said before, and so the counselors have those approved lists of classes, And then I have sent out all of the fall dates as well as the fall catalog and then the spring catalog and spring dates associated with those. A lot of those courses are dealt with Hathaway, whether or not they get credits on both sides. Some students take other courses that they just have college credit for and are not necessarily part of their high school transcript, which is fine. That people have been informed of the catalogs of what is offered. How the students get that deployed, I have no idea because that's in the hands of the counselors. So I don't know. One of the things that within that handbook was the counselors part, if you guys remember that, the BOCES director part of it, and then there's a whole entire packet that's supposed to go home with every single student, and it's supposed to have the student signature on it and the parent signature on it, and that they should have that before they're allowed to register or have the website. And I haven't actually received any of those for fall, so I'm assuming nobody filled those out, so that will be a requirement for spring. Because one of the big things is that parents, unless they have gone to college themselves and realize the ramification of dropping a class or putting a W on your transcript and what that can actually mean in the future, a lot of the kids aren't being counseled on that either, and there's a huge section in the handbook just associated with that. If you realize you can't do the class, drop it early because it won't affect you, don't like to take a W, go through that type of stuff. And so that's one of the aspects of that handbook is moving forward, this transcript stays with you, and that's counseled.
Yeah, and a lot of parents they may or may not understand, no credit means they'll get credit on our high school transcript, but they may also have a transcript from Western Wyoming that the University of Wyoming will accept those credits or wherever else.
So now, the classes you could take would be consistent across the district, or is it based off of teachers we have? Is that
Concurrent is based off of teachers we have. And if there ends up being students, like I had to have some sections created this year that allowed Hannah students in and that for classes that they normally didn't take. And that's okay. And then they essentially are all in the same section, but because I wanted it so all the students essentially in Hardin County School District 2 are all in the same sections of psychology or all in the same sections of English so that they can help each other out, or like I tried to pool them that way this year because before, like if you took English up here, you might have like 4 of the seniors might have 4 different college professors instead of them all having the same one. And so it should be consistent. The one that isn't consistent is the concurrent, and that's just because those are teachers that are approved by Western Wyoming to teach, and that changes across the district. But down in the southern part of the district, like medical transcription and stuff, it's not offered down there, but it's offered up here. And those are all online classes. And like up here, we've got one student, I think right now, that's enrolled in essentially the CNA classes. And if somebody asked down there, I would happily enroll them, but it's not on a list of normally accepted classes. And I don't know why that is. And I don't disagree with you, Karen. I think everybody should have the same options.
well, yeah, if it's online.
Yeah.
Right, any other questions? Thank you, Brooke. Next item under new business is ski day at Center Range.
So because I think this sounds like fun, and we briefly talked about this in the past, but not really officially made a decision on it. Can I get your guys' blessing to contact Snowy Range and see if I can broker a deal with them for a Friday ski day a couple of times throughout the ski season? That will require a bus, obviously, and it will be dependent on getting that bus. But ideally, we would be able to pick everybody up in the southern part of the district, come through Hannah, pick kids up here, go to Snowy Range, ski the day, and come backwards and drop everybody. And I've got a pool of parents already who would be interested in being chaperones, so that won't be an issue. And there's some teachers who also said, yes, I want to do this. So
Would that be like K-12?
yes, or anybody, essentially. I would, the little kids would have to have a parent with them, which that's just because that's a requirement of the ski area if they're going to take lessons there. But yes, I would like to include everybody. When we did this in Sheridan County School District 1 that I came out of, they essentially, and we're not gonna, because that was like 20+ years ago, but it was $20, and you got your lift ticket, all included rentals, and then it was another $20 if you had and so for $40 us, have a great day, we're ski. I hope we can get it between that $40-$60 mark, but we'll wait and see what they have. And there might be a limit, like a minimum for that price.
Right, I think there is some schools over here in the north, that take certain rates on there. Not sorry, it may be before, but you don't check for it.
Discussion or questions for Brad?
They have, some schools have ski teams. So I didn't realize we had ski ones and they had like their ski team races and I was like, wow.
We had ski
That
teams,
is a-
I slalom, it was really fun.
That's a plus of activity, actually. Or
Really?
America has the downhill ski team. Both kinds of different ones.
Maybe we can convince Brush Creek to use their ski area for our WASA.
A partnership.
Do we need a motion to allow rec to pursue that, or just verbal? I mean,
Well, we need a motion to approve that. But to actually present us with the information, I would see that motion.
I think it sounds like a great idea. I would be in favor of getting more information to make a decision. Great. We'll launch for more information. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do not have a meeting in November. We have a meeting in December.
Yeah.
Does that impact your plans? You think doing it after the beginning of the year?
I don't think that impacts it at all, because I don't anticipate it being open until potentially Thanksgiving or after anyway, so. Unless we get snow again in a couple of times.
Cool. Is there any audience comments? No? Okay. Item 9, next meeting will be December 20th at Central Office at 2:45.
Oh, Madam Chair,
Did I miss
this
it?
would be contingent that we might move this.
Oh, right.
The regular board, as
Yes,
far as our meeting.
that's a great one. So typically, Brad,
You weren't in on that.
I was not in on that.
in December, it's typical that we move our meeting back a week because
It's
of
not near Christmas.
Christmas. So that will be determined Board of Trustees meeting next. So if that.
Yeah, we'll make sure.